think that's good. Howdy YouTube. This is technically my first video to the channel, so let's skip the awkward introductions and just dive straight in. Now, I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but I would call myself a capital G gamer. I've 100%ed Cuphead and lived to tell the tale, so I feel qualified, if not morally obligated, to criticize the games that I play. And today I will. A Bastard's Tale is a 2D side-scroller game made by a small Swedish studio, No Pest Productions, on May 28th of 2015. But I'm not here to read you a glorified wiki article. I'm here to show you how this game made me feel the weight of each and every split-second decision it put on me. Kinda like being in a game of rock, paper, scissors, but if you lose, somebody actually gets stabbed. So without further ado, allow me to take you on a thrilling journey, one might even call a... The tale of this bastard is actually pretty straightforward. We play as a seemingly random knight, no name, no backstory, just marching into town like we forgot where we parked our horse. And in front of the first couple cabins we see are a bunch of peasants, literally not bothering anybody, so you know the first thing this game told me to do was, hey, go beat them up. Which does raise some questions, like, am I the hero here, or just some medieval psycho kicking the shit out of peasants for a few shillings, or whatever the fuck knights stole back in the day. But then some old guy comes out at me with a pitchfork, so, you know, clearly I had to defend myself. Unfortunately, the old guy does get away, probably off to go snitch to the king or something, and on his way out he manages to set off the local cows, which naturally causes the cattle to come charging straight at me. Now, let's analyze this moment for a second. You're telling me my guy can swing a 3-pound sword fast enough to stop a cow mid-charge? I don't care how strong Timmy Tough Knuckles here thinks he is, that's not how physics or cows work. And even if I did land a hit, what's that gonna do? Gently redirect the cow? Knock some sense into it? Yeah, the bull's just gonna stop and be like, you know what? Fair enough. And just collapse? No, I'm not Bruce Lee. One head tap isn't gonna stop 1,100 pounds of pure beef momentum. But anyway, let's move on, because after casually murdering your way through an entire village, you eventually run into a Black Knight. Oh, okay. He doesn't introduce himself, he doesn't talk at all actually, he just immediately tries to kill you, which honestly I kinda get. But then you kill him and the level ends with this photo of the villagers looking up at you, like you're their leader now. Okay, so let's talk about this. You roll into these random people's town, kill a bunch of locals, take out the only guy that tries to stop you, and somehow you manage out on top. That's not knightly justice, that's just medieval gentrification. Sadly, bastards ain't got no time to stick around at just one village, so before long we're back on the road again, sword in hand and blood in our boots. After massacring and narrowly escaping the entire village, we end up walking through what has to be the windiest field I've ever seen. Birds just floating in the air like they're stuck in a lag spike, and I know this place just smelled like lost dogs and wet dreams. Wait, this level thankfully went by pretty fast. I think it was at this point in the game, around 4 minutes in, that I realized this game is repetitive. You got 2 buttons, one to hit and one to block, and that's basically your entire tool set, causing the game to feel less like a side-scroller beat-em-up and more like a rhythm game in disguise. With each encounter playing out the exact same timing, same pattern, it feels less like you're fighting and more like you're playing the idea of a fight. If they had just added a little more variety into the attacks, maybe even just a combo when you spam square, it would have made a world of a difference. But as it stands, it feels like 2 kids swinging swords at each other, waiting patiently for the other one to swing so that they can wait for their turn, you know? In any case, the 3rd level begins with an image of you towering over the people you have conquered. Not exactly screaming hero if you ask me. At this point, I wasn't playing a knight, I was playing a dictator. The game literally shows the citizens carrying around my flag, just casually parading around the symbol of the guy who wiped out half your town. Then you head into what I can only describe as medieval nowhere. A cracked up desert wasteland, dry, empty, and depressing. Honestly, it looks like the type of place that would end up as a strip mall in 700 years. The only signs of life being a few crows perched up on a dead tree. That's when you decide to walk by and they swoop down and turn into the scariest thing this game can think of. A woman. Of course she's a witch, cause God forbid we break cliche, and like any woman doing dark magic in medieval Europe, she's clearly marked for death. So I did what any honorable knight dictator would do. I killed her. Then comes this crow-headed demon guy with blades in his arms, which sounds a whole lot cooler than it actually is. Even with the enemy designs getting weirder, the gameplay stayed exactly the same. And honestly, I was deep into autopilot by this point. 3 levels in and I felt like I was playing the same fight over and over again, just on different backgrounds. From here on out, the game really tries to switch things up. Instead of cows charging at you, it's moose. Don't get me started on moose. How many moose charges are we pretending were a real issue back in medieval Europe? And instead of peasants fighting you, it's orcs. Yeah, orcs, because that's exactly what this game needed. Fantasy creatures to distract you from the fact that you've been pressing the same buttons for the past 15 minutes, which sure, maybe you could argue that that's just how game escalation works. First it's farmers, then witches, then birds, then Walmart brand Urukai. But even with the fantasy reskin, the gameplay doesn't change. Each fight still feels like a medieval version, as Simon says, and honestly, if you showed me screenshots of each level out of context, I'd probably think it was the same one. The characters wear different hats, the backgrounds change, but the core loop of gameplay stays painfully identical. Now, I know what you're thinking. We've been doing all this walking around, hacking and slashing, but what the hell is the point? Well, at the end of the forest level, we're met with this image. This image right here has to confirm my theory. We've been wiping out innocent towns, apparently kidnapping women. To eat them? Who knows? But if you look inside of our shiny exterior, you can see that inside, our knight is actually an ape? That's right. I've been blindly swinging my sword like an angry chimpanzee on a rampage, because I am one. But who cares? This is our story, so anything we do is automatically justified. Morality is a lot easier when you have a sword, after all. And after what felt like weeks of walking, we finally make it to the king's castle. No fanfare, no build-up, just a long walk filled with elite guards that all kind of drop like flies. But finally, the music shifts, the hallway stretches out, and out steps the final boss, the Golden Knight. And honestly, stupid fucking boss. Gold is a way softer metal than steel. He should have been one of the easiest enemies to take out. But instead, it's 6 minutes of constant back and forth like I'm stuck fencing a fucking trophy. But finally he drops, and without a word we step past his body and step onto the balcony, looking down at the kingdom we've just conquered. All of them, staring back up at us, not cheering, not celebrating, just afraid. Roll credits. Well, I guess that's A Bastard's Tale all wrapped up. But now comes the real question, how good is it from a gamer's perspective? The gameplay in this game is stiff, slow, low-key kind of passive. It felt less like I was playing a game and more like I was watching two NPCs slapbox each other in slow motion. No special moves, no combos, just the same dry exchange over and over again like some medieval tech demo. Honestly, I'd give the gameplay a solid 2 out of 10. Story-wise, the whole you're the villain thing was low-key a clever twist, but it's not like the game outright tells you that. There's no dialogue, no narration. The whole story is whatever you can piece together by the still frames they give you at the end of each level. So I was interested, but the same way people get interested when they think too hard about a cereal box. 4 out of 10. Sensory-wise, the audio was rough. The hit sounds were crunchy in the wrong way, and the soundtrack sounded like someone humming into a tin can under a bridge. Graphically, this game really drops the ball. I've seen what good pixel art games look like. Celeste, Hyper Light Drifter, Katana Zero. They're gorgeous, detailed, and clean. This game somehow manages to look muddy and empty all at the same time. The backgrounds blend together, the animations are stiff, and nothing really pops. So for pixel art with no pop, 2 out of 10. So, with a daddy score of 8 out of 30, is A Bastard's Tale worth playing? No. Honestly, I'm just glad I never have to think about this fucking game ever again. Thanks for watching, though. Howdy, y'all. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And I just wanted to point out how long this script, these props took me, so you better fucking subscribe. Also, I did make this mask wearable. I wanted to eventually try to wear it, so I suppose this is a better time than any. Oh geez, I hope it doesn't break. Oh my god. Wait. I am the Bastard's Tale.